Hello, everyone, and welcome to Counselor Your Future Friday. I'm your host, Brian Urban. In these features, I hope to give you some simple tips, tidbits, and tricks to make your days easier and your patients happier. In this feature, we're going to talk about tools for identifying potential cochlear implant candidates based on the 60-60 rule. We want you to be able to identify those patients right within the audiogram screen and be able to search your database for potential cochlear implant candidates looking backwards at past visits. And so we'll start here in the patient visits, I'm sorry, the patient audiogram screen, and we're going to jump down to the word recognition tab. Okay, now this is a patient where we already have our data in place, and in this case, it's showing that the patient is potentially a cochlear implant candidate based on the 60-60 rule. Now, just in case you're not familiar with the 60-60 rule, it does state that patients may potentially be cochlear implant candidates if their unaided pure tone average in the better ear is greater than or equal to 60 dB HL. And their unaided word recognition score in the better ear is less than or equal to 60%. And so it's using those criteria, counselors using those criteria to then pop up this alert basically to let you know that this patient may be a candidate. So we can see here the PTA here for the right ear is 75 at 5, 1, and 2. And then if we jump with 60% response on word recognition, or correct, I should say. And if we go to the left ear, we see very similar numbers, right? With a higher PTA here. Now, if this changes, let's jump back over to the right ear, and let's say that this patient got 64% on word recognition. Well, we'll jump back to the left here just to refresh that, and we're going to see that the candidacy pop-up is gone, right? So it's not showing anymore, and that's because this patient no longer meets the criteria. If I jump back and I say, oh, that was a mistake, let's put that to 56%, right? Now this patient is a candidate again. So point being is, dynamically based on the data, this message will show or not. Now, a very important point here is you'll see that this is going to be a strict PTA, basically saying this is always going to be 500, 1000, and 2000 hertz. Of course, in the speech audiometry tab, you have the ability to display whatever PTA formula you want, and that is defined either visit by visit in the visit options area, or it can be defined, report options, or it can be defined here as a default option in the professional report options. But point being is, this is the PTA that you can modify based on your own preference, how you want to compare that with SRT, right? Like what your preference is. Whereas in the word recognition score, because counselors are looking at this to determine CI candidacy, you're going to see this static unchangeable 500, 1000, and 2000, just to give you the ability to compare those if you wish. Point being is, the CI candidacy will only show when it is met the criteria of the 60-60 rule. Okay, so this gives you sort of some real-time feedback on this patient visit. If you then want to search across your visits, you can do so in two areas. First off, in the Search Patient Visits tool, and in the report generator for visit reporting. So we'll do the first one here. We'll search patient visits. There's a lot you can search for in this tool, and one really nice thing about this is you can search across all your clinics too. So if you want to do a very broad search based on the criteria, looking for specific visits, maybe across a certain date range, you can look at the age of the visit. You can look at the age of the patient, different tags, all kinds of different criteria you can search by. But I want to point out one very important one here, the CI candidacy or CI candidate. So you can decide, of course, depending on your search, yes, maybe you want to exclude CI candidates in this search, right? So you could say no on this. Or, of course, in most typical searches, you would say no, unless you're specifically looking for CI candidates. In this case, we are. So we're going to go ahead and say yes and search. And there we are. We can see 3 patients over the last month that are, have met the criteria for potential cochlear implant candidacy. All right, so you can use the search visits here. You also can use the visit reporting report generator. So we hop into the visit report generator. What we're going to see is a column specifically for CI candidacy, right? So there it is. And just by kind of looking this down here, we can see one patient right there. But obviously, you'd probably want to do a search where you type in, you can just type in yes, and then contains. And that's going to show you every visit across the, any other filtering you've done um, that meet, once again, the cochlear implant candidacy. You will also see in the visit report generator PTAs. In fact, you have two, right? So you have the PTA that you've selected for the visit. So in the example I gave, Fletcher average was selected. It, of course, could be any PTA formula that you want. But it'll always, the visit report generator will always show, once again, 500, 1000, and 2000 hertz. And this gives you the ability to maybe do other searching. Like maybe you uh, want to use the static PTA for other things, or maybe your cochlear implant candidacy is slightly different than the 60/60 rule. You can still very easily jump into the visit report generator and use this column to sort and locate the applicable visits. All right. If you have any questions about how the 60/60 rule is being applied in Counselor, or how you can search and find potential candidates within your database, please give us a call, email us, live chat us. We are always happy to help. Thank you very much for joining us for today's Counselor Ear Feature Friday. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.